Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to one and all. Previously, I finished off with 3 paragraphs of your page number 40 of the lesson 2.4, the fall of Troy. Now, you can continue with the next paragraphs. It is believed that the Iliads and the Odysseys were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BCE. BCE stands for before Common Era. It's given out here. And who wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing his poems to all who would receive him in their homes and give him hospitality. This wandering singer has been honored through the ages, not only in Greece but in all Europe, as the father of European poetry. That means it has been finalized that the Iliads and the Odysseys, they are set of stories and very, very lengthy stories of different types, different culture, different tradition of different countries, and it was composed and recited by a blind poet, a person who cannot see. His name was Homer, who lived 2920 years before from today's date. That means 900 BCE, before Common Era. And he was a person who roamed from place to place, village to village, country to country, reciting his poem, reciting his songs, reciting all the oral work of various countries, various villages, various towns, various cities, various districts from the country of city of Greece. He roamed about everywhere singing, and wherever he was received means he was welcomed. Wherever Homer was welcomed by the people of Greece or the village of Greece or the cities of Greece or in any other place, he would give all his songs, all his poetries to the people out there. Being a blind person, he was always given proper hospitality. Proper hospitality means he was welcomed and given all the requisite for a person's welfare in that case. He became a renowned person of Greece, and finally through the various ages means through various generations, through the complete history of Greece in that manner, and the people of Europe finally gave him the name of the father of European poetry. Homer was known as the father of European poetry. European, people of Europe, the continent of Europe by itself. Any questions, any doubt, any queries, please ask me. I am available round the clock. You can call me, you can chat with me. If you are on WhatsApp, you can use that. If you are on Telegram, you can use that also. Next, move on to the next paragraph. The Iliad is the story of Ilium or Troy, a rich trading city in Asia. Trading city means doing great business through merchandise, through merchant, to trade through products on a very large scale basis. In Asia Minor. Why is it called as Asia Minor? It was a very small part of Europe, but did all the trading, did all the business with all the Asiatic countries. The continent of Asia had ample amount of trade work with the people of Troy, the city of Troy. So therefore it was known as Asia Minor. Near the narrow sea that led from the Aegean to the Black Sea. These are names of sea, Aegean Sea and Black Sea. It was there, and the city of Troy was just on the narrow part of these two seas. It was well situated both for commerce and agriculture. Commerce means business, trade, where people can buy and sell on a large scale basis, wholesale, retail, everything. And agriculture means you have good amount of cropping done, good amount of cultivation done, so that people can fulfill their food requirement in that manner. In front of the city was a sea over which sailed ships of Troy. This is the main business point of view, where the city of Troy had a large sea in front of the city of Troy, where most of the ships were sailing always on there, and it was always anchored out there, because all the goods and the grains were traded through the navigated way, through the transport means of water transport, carrying goods and grains. Grains means all the different types of pulses, your cereals in that way, your rice, your wheat, your paddy, your bajra, your jawar, all the different types of lentils also in that manner. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, name of a mountain, from which flowed many rivers and streams. That means there was a big mountain also in the rear part of Troy. In front they had the Aegean and the Black Sea in front of them, and the rear part of it, or the back of Troy, had the large mountain. It was a very high peak named as the Mount Ida, and where many rivers, many streams did flow through the complete Troy itself. The valleys among the hills were well watered and fertile, with corn growing in fertile fields and cattle feeding on the rich grass of meadow, while sheep fed on the slopes of the hill. That means there were ample amount of hills out there, there were ample amount of valleys out there, there were ample amount of water available out there, and which made the soil rather fertile, rather alluvial, and good plantation, good cropping was done, good amount of cultivation was done, with corn growing in fertile field. Corn means maize, which you can call it in your easy language or your regular language or your own Hindi tone as bhutta. Cattle were fed through the rich grass on the meadows. Meadows means open field having ample amount of grass growing on the open ground, while the sheep were taken to the slope side of the hill, because the sheep require different types of grass to eat, and the cattle require different type of fodder for their own food for themselves to grow and live in such a particular good conditioned city of Troy. Any questions, any doubts, any queries in this paragraph of yours? You're most welcome to call me, chat with me round the clock. Let's move on to the next para. Around the city, the Trojans had built a strong wall so that no enemy should attack them from the sea. The wall was so broad that people could stand and sit and walk on it. The great gates stood open, and the people could go to the seashore outside and come in as they pleased. Pleased means welcomed in a happy manner, merriful manner. But in time of war, the gates would be closed, and then the city was like a strong fortress. Fortress means fort. Quite safe from all the attack, protected by the walls surrounding it as well as by the hills behind. That means the city of Troy and the people of Troy, named as Trojans, were well protected from the front and the rear side, along with a huge wall also. In the front they had the sea, at the back they had the Mount Ida, and apart from that they had a very huge wall between the sea and the main city of Troy in that way. And this city of Troy had huge gates. When the gate was opened to the common people, to the public in that way, and they could come and move about as and when they pleased. But during the wars it was closed, it was lashed up, it was locked up, and the people of Troy could not move out of their own city. It was a very huge city and a very strong fort because of that particular wall, where people could walk, could play, could run about on it. In that case, the wall was rather broad enough for them to stand and sit and walk on the wall. It may be looking like the wall of China also in that case, but not obviously like that big or that broad in that way. Yet the wall of Troy was a very protective defense line for them to face any war from any corner of the world towards them, because they had the mountain behind them, the sea in front of them, and the wall also in front of them, which did not allow invaders to attack Troy from any side. Any questions, any word, any line, any sentence not understood to you, please ask. You can give me a call, round the clock in that way. Move on to the next paragraph. Thus, Troy was a strong city, strongly protected by its walls and strongly defended by its brave soldiers. That means Troy being a very strong city, good wall as a defender, and obviously they had brave soldiers, courageous soldiers who really did their work of understanding, work of moving, work of taking care of their own city and protecting the people of Troy, the Trojans themselves. But all the kings and the heroes of Greece had declared war against the Trojans because Paris, a prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen, wife of a Greek king, Menelaus, to elope with him. This part is the main part of the complete story of the fall of Troy, or the Trojan horse, or just Troy by itself. The main reason for the war between the Greece and the Troys was the lady of Greece, the king Menelaus' wife, Helen, who eloped or who ran away with the prince of Troy named as Paris in such a manner. Paris, a prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen. Persuaded means taken into control, that Helen, the wife of King Menelaus of Greece, and she eloped with him. She ran away with him in that way and ran away secretly in order to get married. Even though I told you earlier that she was the most beautiful woman of her time. That was he had brought her to Troy. That means Paris had taken Helen to Troy, and that was the main reason, that was the main fact why there was war between Troy and Greece. It took 10 long years for the final countdown to be taken into consideration. The Greeks wanted to take revenge on Troy for the wrong done to Menelaus. The people of Greece, obviously Greek people, were very, very angry with Paris, the prince of Troy, and obviously being the king and his wife had eloped or run away, fled away to Troy with Paris. So that was the main reason. They sailed to Troy and laid siege to the city. That means they, here the Greek people, sailed, took their ships, because obviously the main entrance was by ship itself. So they sailed to Troy. Laid siege means they wanted to capture the city of Troy. They halted out there, they anchored out there, and the ships were anchored out there. They started the war from that particular point of view. The Trojans too fought hard, and the siege continued for 10 long years. That means the war was from 10 long years between the Greece and that of Troy. The reason for the war was the lady Helen, wife of King Menelaus, who fled away, who eloped away, who ran away with the prince of Troy named as Paris. Any questions, any queries, any doubts? You are welcome to ask me round the clock. Jazakallah.